Well, given the recent headlines involving airplanes and crashes, it's hard not to think that it could potentially make some travelers a little bit more on edge when they take to the skies. And Jen, I know you're not the most, enjoyable flyer.
No, I'm not. I'm very anxious. It's the Xanax, some alcohol, Benadryl, whatever you want to throw to me to put me asleep. But for a look at some healthier ways to ease the uneasiness is licensed commercial pilot and psychotherapist Michaela Renee Johnson. Michaela, good morning. I just want to say, pilot, psychotherapist, you are the epitome of someone who can quell your anxious flying woes.
Yeah.
So we've seen some major kind of aviation disasters across North America in a span of 3 weeks. And when people like me, who are terrified of flying, see this, they automatically think, oh no, this is a reason I shouldn't get on a plane. It's unsafe. But maybe you can kind of dispel some of the myths about flying and safety.
Well, I'll tell you, I think that's a rational thought to have. Anytime that we see these sorts of really graphic major events, of course, our mind is going to go into that place of protection. It's going to go into fight, flight, fawn, or freeze to protect us, keep us safe. And we're really going to start to question, is this the best way to travel? Is there another way that we could maybe get from point A to point B? And this is also a really good time to take that zoom out, that 10,000 foot perspective. Look at a lot of other things in your life that maybe you've been afraid to do. So that might be starting that new job. It might be telling that person that you're interested in a relationship. And this is a really nice time to start to journal about why you're afraid to do things. And anytime that we're going to be in the back seat of an airliner and we're not going to be in the front seat on the controls, we're not knowing what's going on in the airspace around us or who touched the aircraft last in terms of maintenance, it's natural to be a little bit afraid.
Yeah, I mean, part of it comes down to control, right? When you're driving, whether driving is, statistically more dangerous than flying, you feel like you're in control because you're holding onto the wheel. But when you're a passenger, you click your seatbelt on, Michaela, and someone else is your life is in their hands effectively.
And that is the truth for all things when our brain is trying to protect us. We're constantly assessing the risk and we're constantly assessing how much control we have over that risk. And this is kind of a perfect explanation for disaster when it comes to air travel, especially with what we're seeing right now. I mean, an airliner upside down on its back, belly up, that's a little concerning for even pilots, right? That's something that kind of gets our attention too. And so I would say this is a good time to touch base with the people that you love, people that maybe you need to be making that phone call to, that you've been hesitating to make that phone call. It's just a really good time to assess your priorities in life in general and reach out, do what you need to do to set yourself up to achieve what you want to achieve in life.
Yeah, and Michaela, turning to the statistics, they say about 1 in 93 people are more likely to get in a car accident driving. But because we have that control, we feel safer. When it comes to, a plane crash, something disaster like that, it's like 1 in a million, like lottery chances. So that should quell our anxieties. But when that turbulence goes on an airplane, I'm white knuckling it on the seat handle. And that's why some people like me might choose to zone out or pass out with drugs like Xanax or whatever. But if I was passed out on Xanax and on that flight, I wouldn't have been able, perhaps, to unclip myself from that seatbelt hanging upside down. So maybe you want to reiterate to people what they should do, medication aside, to quell their anxieties while they're in a terrifying situation on a plane.
Well, I think a good phrase or a mantra that can remind you that there really is only so much you can do about the situation in this moment. I like to set a stopwatch and say, I'm going to give myself 2 minutes to really be freaked out, be panicked, be upset, be whatever. And then I'm going to do something about it that's productive. So maybe I'm going to pull out a journal and start taking some notes. Maybe I'm going to write a letter to somebody that I love. Maybe I'm going to read that book that I've had in my bag that I've been wanting to read for a year, but haven't found the time to do.
Michaela, I'm curious about your origin story. Were you a pilot first or a psychotherapist first? Like, what was first for you?
Yeah.
That's a really good life question, right? Well, I've been a co-pilot since I was very young, so I guess I was a pilot first.
And did you realize that you could sort of blend the two, the psychotherapy and the pilot, based on people's fear of flying?
Yeah, most definitely. I would say that aviation is incredibly synonymous. Everything growth mindset oriented, soaring, spreading your wings, all these things. That right there is actually a jumbo pilot. And that's Pop-Tart, my little PA-12.
Aw, so cute. And Michaela, before we let you go, should people be scared of flying given these recent events that we're seeing?
I would say you're totally rational to be questioning whether or not air travel is safe. And I would also say, to your point earlier, 1 in 11 million people. So the statistics still are on the side of safety. And the FAA does a lot to ensure that people are going to make it from point A to point B.
Mm-hmm.
All right, pilot and psychotherapist Michaela Renee Johnson, great conversation this morning. Perfectly timely. Thanks for joining us this morning from California.
Thank you.